A man has been shot and killed in the same illegal migrant camp I reported from last week. There are camps dotted all around the Loom Plage area, and as I showed you, the illegal migrants in them are becoming more aggressive.
So they make a bit of noise. All right, we're going to have to get out of here. We just had glass bottles thrown at us. So that's that. Okay. Well, yeah, we just had a glass bottles thrown at us, and I think it's probably best if we get out of here.
Well, a couple of days ago, a would-be illegal migrant was shot 7 times and died at the scene. The violence in these camps is reaching astronomical levels. Just a few days before I went out there, our Home and Security editor Mark White revealed that petrol bombs are being thrown at French police. Here's his report from the 18th of July. The latest shooting is the 3rd deadly incident in the migrant camps in less than 2 months. In mid-June, there were back-to-back shootings. 3 people were killed and a woman and a 2-year-old child were injured. Around 2 weeks ago, there was a shooting in broad daylight near a food distribution site. An Iraqi man was shot in the knee, and I can't help but wondering if it was this same food distribution site.
If we have a look at this row of people here, hard to say, probably 50 or 60 maybe. That's the equivalent of maybe 1 boat of people. And there's another group just behind there and everything.
Last December, 5 people, including 2 security guards, were killed by gunfire in the same area. And in February, a man died after being shot in the chest in what is believed to be a settling of scores between the human traffickers. So I've been to those exact camps twice now. The first time that I went, the French police raided it the day after I left. And then last week, which you'll be looking at now, as I was on my way back from northern France, a smaller number of police went in again. There is an Iraqi man quoted in an article about the latest shooting. He witnessed it, and he's quoted as saying this: "The guy who died here yesterday was killed by 18 gunshots. There are too many weapons here, and yet this is Europe. It's not my country." I am convinced that French police, British authorities, Interpol and Europol know exactly who these human traffickers are. And I am convinced that they are monitoring them very closely. So why can't they stop it? Are they really waiting to try and find the Mr. Big who lives somewhere in the Iraqi mountains? Why not just go in there now, storm the place, hoover up all the weapons and get people nicked? What is stopping the French from clearing these camps? The violence is getting more extreme. And make no mistake, it's coming to Britain. Do we have to wait for someone to be executed here before someone takes action?
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Let's get thoughts on my panel this evening. We have got political commentator and columnist Esther Krakow, senior political correspondent at the Daily Express, Christian Calgie, and journalist Jonathan Liss. Look, I'm getting increasingly annoyed about this, not least because I am absolutely convinced that the authorities on both sides of the channel are monitoring the situation incredibly closely and have a crystal clear view of who these human traffickers are. Why are they not going in there and storming these camps?
Because they can't. Because that would apparently be against the human rights. Look, we don't even have to look at the situation here, which is obviously unruly and, you know, where do they get guns? I mean, I don't even ask those questions. These people, imagine being in your community, near your schools, near your women and children, wives, mothers, all of that. What do you think? How do you think people will feel if you're having these people coming and you're supposed to paint these people as refugees that need our help and all of that, and yet look at the chaos that's going on there? That's what we need to be looking at. It's not the fact that there's this unrest. Of course, they're living in disgusting squalor. They're living in... I wouldn't want to live in those conditions, and I'm sure they're very desperate. But what motivation, for example, do the French have to keep them on that side of the border? None.
Well, I get that. I do understand that. But my main gripe is this. If there was a town in Britain where that kind of stuff was happening all the time, the police, armed police, the military would go in and sort it. There is basically a town in France where that's happening, and it's on its way to Britain. Why are the international authorities not going in there and sorting it out?
Well, I mean, you say that, but we know that there are gangs of different sorts in London. There are drug gangs, and we're not going in and shooting them up, are we? I suppose we know exactly what's going to happen here. We can see the playbook before us clear as day. The French are not going to do anything because they don't have the incentive. Eventually, these people will come across the channel. They'll settle in Britain. They'll bring the violence. They may even bring some of the weapons. They'll commit further acts of murder and violence on these shores. And then if we try speaking about it, we'll be investigated under the new online safety bill. That's the new government playbook. It's cover up. It's not deal with the problem. It's not deal with the problem at source. It's not deal with the problem when it arrives here, because politicians across Europe have not just given up caring. I don't think they're psychologically capable of caring because, for whatever reason, they don't think it affects them, or they're more interested in international human rights or whatever. It's just complete chaos. We've been betrayed, and it's not just us who've been betrayed, it's the French people. It's people across Europe, and I don't see anything changing regardless of what happens with this violence, if it escalates, if it declines, if it comes over here, if it stays in France. This is here to stay unless we get radical.
What a national embarrassment that is for the French, for Interpol and for Europol if they can't go in and clear that camp. Jonathan?
I honestly don't understand why, if there is violence being perpetrated in those camps, so the French police can't do something about it. I share that sort of perplexity that you're expressing. There are obviously violent elements in those camps. We know that because they are run by some of the most violent gangsters in the world. And we've had this conversation.
Led to believe are refugees.
The one thing that we can all agree on, I suspect, around these panels, is that the gangs are really, really bad people, and they're making a lot of money that they shouldn't be making, and that they need to be crushed. That's something that we can all agree on. Obviously, what comes next is something that we disagree on. But I see no reason why the gangs can't be dealt with.
But these are not the gangs. These are their customers. Anyway. The gangs are not like... I mean, they're not even make up 10% of these camps. They are sitting cushioned. I mean, literally estimates of how much these gangs make monthly in revenue is over £1 million. They're not the people in these squalid conditions. These are their customers. These are the people that have somehow found their way out of destitution and got together 3,000 to 6,000 euros to pay these people smugglers to make their way from wherever they are across the Mediterranean and now soon to be across the Channel. That is the issue. And if you don't stop the demand by actually saying, if you come across on these boats, you will never, ever, ever be given asylum in Britain, nothing is ever going to change. I mean, we are not just betraying, obviously, these countries, but we're betraying these people as well.
That's not stopping the demand. People want... Look, the demand is unchanged. People want to come here. That's the demand.
They shouldn't be coming here via those routes.
I completely agree with you.
Why?
They should be given safe and legal routes to do so.
No, they shouldn't. No, we should choose... I'm sorry, no.
But the demand is there. People will want to come here, whether we like it or not. That's the thing that you can't stop. You can change... you can stop people coming here. You can't stop people wanting to come here.
Well, if you come here and you go to a different place that you're not expecting, you're not going going to try it.
I would argue
by the way, the Australians did this.
I would argue the way that you could change the demand is by reducing the incentives. But Christine, if I was Sir Keir Starmer and I was looking at this now, and I was seeing the sheer, or our intelligence services, and I was seeing the sheer level of violence that's taking place currently in those migrant camps, and you do see it, and you know about it, and you know that that's on its way to Britain, why do you have to wait for someone to get touched here in this country by that? Why can't? Is there not? Can you not declare a national emergency and stop it happening?
That's what I do. It's people what Dominic Cummings has suggested something similar. You give France the ultimatum, you get off your bums, you start using some of the money, the millions we've been giving you, or give it, say, 100 days, 150 days, we'll send in the SAS. We know where these people are. You will know where some of these people are from TikTok, for God's sake. So MI5 and MI6 know where these people are. We send in the SAS, they go in, they shoot them in the head.
But there's no point being bewildered as to why Keir Starmer isn't solving it. Because Keir Starmer does not want to solve this problem.
Well, there are going to be incredibly serious questions asked if somebody in this country gets hurt by one of those people, when we know where they are, we know who they are, and we know the kind of actions that are happening. There'll be incredibly serious questions asked about that, let me tell you. But, Jonathan, is it not the humanitarian thing to do to clear these camps? When I'm there, and I was kind of befuddled a little bit by some of the roles that the NGOs are playing. Now, those camps are grim. Esther rightly said, I wouldn't want to live there. No one would want to live there. They are grim. I get that. However, some of these NGOs make them just about bearable by providing them with enough sanitation, with enough food and with enough medical supplies to make it just about livable for the period of time that you're there. Should they not stop that? And should the police not clear the camps? Because as long as they can make those camps livable for people, people will come and then end up getting shot by human traffickers and end up being able to make their journey across to Britain. So is it not the humane thing to do to shut that camp down?
Well, look, I mean, you have, as we were saying before, there are people who want to come to Britain, they don't want to stay in France, and you can debate the rights and wrongs of that, but that's just a fact. So those people are congregating on the beaches hoping to get to Britain. So what do you say about that? Do you say that we owe those people, or the French or the authorities, whatever, owe those people nothing at all, or the NGOs shouldn't help those people?
Yes.
They should just be allowed to sort of starve, or what? Or do you say that you treat them as, refugees in other places, and you have refugee camps, and that you enable them to have a basic standard of living?
But why can't it be refugee camps elsewhere? That's
a separate issue, Esther. They are there. It doesn't. We're not debating whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. There, they are.
But you can't move them. This is the thing, because we're in this lattice of international laws and human rights lawyers and this charity industrial complex that you can't physically move these people. That is the problem. We can scatter them, and then they'll end up finding the nearest five-star hotel that the local council will be willing to pay for. That's the problem.
I mean, the French police did already dismantle the jungle a few years ago. That was
and
huge.
they're right back there.
But this is it. I want to know what our intelligence service is doing about this and what kind of pressure we're putting on the French politically and in terms of intelligence as well. Because if I'm over there and we can track down human traffickers, and then we see that there's this escalating, and it is escalating, this level of violence and the level of threat, and the fact that we know that our security services and the French security services are tracking these people, and they know what they're saying and they know what they're doing. What is it going to take to act? Why are they letting it run and run and run so they can have this idea about we're going to go to the Iraqi caves and get Mr. Big? The British people don't want that. You want it stopped now.
No, but I suppose the argument would be that the financial incentives are so great that we could take out, a people smuggler, one of the big kingpins in France, and he'd be immediately replaced by someone else. So maybe it is just better.
But they're not there, the police. See, this is the thing. They're not there. Having been there twice, you would have thought that there would be patrols 24/7. Where are the French police disrupting all of this? They're not. And is it not incumbent on our Prime Minister to be... If I knew that there were violent people who are armed to the teeth that do not adhere to the same kind of rules and regulations and laws and cultural norms and everything that we do over here, and that they are both killing people in France and sending people over here that could well have weapons with them, I would feel it necessary, when I'm stood next to Emmanuel Macron, to raise that with him.
Well, but the thing is, it's because they're not willing to contemplate a strategy that would do this. So we hear many people on the left saying, try and rehabilitate drug users, for example, so you can cut the demand, get them the help that they need so they come off drugs, and that's how you tackle it. And for many people on the left, this is the solution. But for some reason, that logic doesn't apply to people smugglers, many of whom, you're right, it's just like whack-a-mole. You take one kingpin off, and then the next guy is ready to take his place to make £1 million a month. That's the point. There needs to be no market for this.
The reason, of course, there needs to be no market for that, and the reason you sort of take away the market is by providing a market yourself, which is a safe and legal route for asylum.
Hold on, there is no market. If you are coming across on small boats, if you are flying via
Because there's
drone.
no alternative.
If you are parachuting yourself from bloody Berlin, you do not get to claim asylum.
The alternative to coming on the boat is to get a visa to come here and then overstay it.
Unfortunately, that argument doesn't work because there are about 1.5 billion displaced people in the world. You say we allow 20,000 in via a safe route. We'll fill that up on day one, and then Calais will still be back with all the rest that we can't take.
You may find this hard to believe. Not all of those people want to come to Britain. Actually, there are other places they might want to.
Oh, like Afghanistan.
All right. Look, I just wanted to raise that with you. There is an escalating level of violence. There was before I went out there. There is now that I'm back here as well. And I think that should be a huge concern to everybody here in Britain, that those people, the only reason they're in those camps is because they want to come to Britain. And I am just not convinced that enough is being done to stop that from happening, and it will put us all at risk.